and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am really, really thrilled that I finally have this man. This man has featured at this establishment for many, many years, but this is the first time that he's actually been a feature here at Gallery Cabaret. And I like it when he hugs me. This is awesome. Please, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for a phenomenal performance from Wayne Allen Johnson.
So that we can get through things, hold your applause. The multitudes, we don't want the swelling thing to
And take time because we would like to hear you.
A little snow. When I stumble on a rare gap between mundane and nauseating, a gap between ego steam-puffed like cheap wheat and high-class used car sales-like people, absent any risk of cardio anything, or a gap between corporate/political movers and takers and any fungi strain turning out zombie ants. Never mind the gap between eager tree huggers flogging slackers who still say global warming, not climate change, and bureaucrats who feel bad for choking citizens of their capital by burning coal in factories making solar panels and turbine blades. I stop a moment, adjust eyes to the light that clears away the fog and thunderheads I carry to insulate my tender part from the real pain of witnessing a beauty, truth, or innocence shimmering amid the world's endless smudge and stain. There, leaving for work, too late to worry, layered in thermal knitted woolen pea coat, I wonder what winter winds and the spirit of the north have left in the wake of their dancing. I see an inch of white powder, so light the slight breeze slides it across my slick car hood. On the wind side, it layers like quantum feathers. I stow my notes, files, and gear and ply my retractable ice scraper /squeaky /brush and whisk away the crystals that would have scattered before I cleared the parking lot on the way home. I relish how superfluous the gesture, how my conscious but unneeded labor honors the snow's effort to cover and obscure the grit and chaos of my world with an unbroken and airy plush pile. A fallen heiress reminding me that beauty in darkness is still beauty, ever more lasting than my breath. Don't come. Just keep going. The lift of waves. The waves, 2 feet or so, moving in off some white sand California beach so green, I am confused as I look into the afternoon shadow of the wave face, as I look for blue broken out of sunlight by refraction or reflection, I forget which, all the while wondering if phytoplankton are in play or if seaweed from the ever-churning bottom overloads a kaleidoscopic spectrum in the shallows. But light play lacks the pull as I watch each rank of waves rise up, taking the form of long prisms sliding toward the shore, more muscular, more vital than glass or crystal on a desk, tossing rainbows about a book-lined room. Once the curl breaks, I turn away from the foam hair, creating a forehead to cascade down from watching the wave rise above itself, fail, and fall down at its own feet. I have perfected that for myself, thank you, and need no reminding of the dangers of o'erleaping. I feel the raw energy that sprints across deep and open water, only to slow in the shallow and stand, nowhere else to go, when the ocean's lip thins and approaches the beachhead. The swell raises my heart. A salty tear drops, yearning to return home. I let it fall for all I might have done had I known where the lee shore lay, where I could roll in as high as tides would allow and add my shuss to the pulsing tally and fall back to rise again. K-dream, that's Q-U-A-Y. A comforter of nimbus gray drained colors from the damp approach of twilight. Wet planks of the pier might have been slick had they been new from the mill or freshly painted. As it was, the drizzle made old exposed wood dark. Swollen wood fibers rendered scuffing rubber soles sure. A tinge of blue shone through the patina of gray light, a trick by which my eyes kept their focus on the sea, wondering where the waking blue of sea and sky had gone. As if risk of falling from the narrow jetty were real, square pails of an 8-foot wrought iron fence strongly braced rose along the wharf's north edge. The thin black bars obscured nothing beyond and failed to resolve what was kept in and what kept out. On the other side of this static prison gate, a dark crowd of posts and pylons posed just offshore, thinning toward the beach. I could not tell in that moment whether, lapped by gentle swells under the lowering sky, the host was advancing, retreating, or halted with feet buried past the knee, unsure of the virtue of moving. Shoulder. These are a series of dream poems now. Shoulder. I come back to the rise of a woman's shoulder, living now as then only in my mind. The memory of a vision conjured up while seeking a subject worthy of a poem. She may be an actress, surely someone trained in dance, that rise mirrored by the turning away from something she will not face, her chin sinking toward collarbone. From my view over her shoulder, I see the full lid of her eye, but cannot tell if softly closed or narrowed, lost to an inward retreat. Now I imagine her graceful turn, her hand by instinct drawn to her throat to catch the necklace no longer there, more to protect her heart as she spins. She exits without looking past her feet, and beyond where she was, I see nothing but vague shadows shifting as headlights slip through fog into an empty night. When dreams fail, as they must. Head in my hands at the end of the day, poking around in the black room behind my eyes, my lips twist out, where are the effing lights? I remember having no trouble walking through what was pitch black at midnight after lights out, the LEDs from electronics enough to steer by. I remember past the red artifacts of light filtered through shuttered lids, recalling that the world I see begins as abstract data from my retina. Just use your imagination, Einstein. That's all he did. He wasn't all that good at maths, as the Europeans say. Perched on mental light beams, he saw others whizzing by and drew his conclusions. So I try to remember dreams unfolding like the DeMille epic the night before, but stumble on black and white plaster figures, black paint cloth thick, taking on poses of sophisticates, but leaning against the wall, a second foot always too high, betrayed by a center of gravity past the tipping point, needing vertical support. I feel luckier than most days when visual cues are vapor stinking of fear, when reductio ad absurdum makes idiots scoff. The light of dreams proves an illusion. They sweep up the trash. I make new dreams to remember vacated ones. I know something went on there just like yesterday. I need answers. I don't want to make that mistake again. Silence. I have not had to hang up before if no one picked up. I could think of a message to leave and not be lulled into syncope by a synthetic voice reciting an endless horizon of options. Apparently, no one wants my business. Leaning back, away from this silence, eyes closed, I see in a slow motion flyby the washed out image of a city beyond, through a double layer of broken windows of an abandoned seat of bureaucracy, where I will discover, which I will discover later, is a building I know in Detroit, not some bombed out European city like Dresden or London, filmed recently, not restored from World War II newsreels. I always pass the old train station, once the tallest in the world, on the way to buy tortillas and eat at the one restaurant where my father was known and well treated. I marvel at the power of broken panes to use air as fresh as it can be in the Motor City and create a zone of irony that plays up the feathered coat and tails of melanized pigeons strutting down the aisles of typing pools, as careless with their droppings as junior executives with quotas and deadlines. Beneath the dust, the latent power of desk to hide people goes waste in the absence of spick and span, spit and polish, the shine and glare of a clean surface. I listen for the slosh of words, my mask saying, I believe you will help me, when the mask before me says it has no idea how I got where I am or why I'm still there. When I should be 2 desks to the right or left, talking to the proper mask, bent on helping. I reach for coffee already cleared, see the cup in the sink, more sure than ever how little help there is and how little I want it. This is about a piece on NPR that had to do with a mother of the person doing the story who had a set of rules about what you should not talk about. You don't say, a trick shot, 3-cushion bank in the side, bottom left spin to cut the angle at the first rail. You tried to tell me what not to say, saying, nobody cares. I scan the list of 8 taboos you say are 7, how I slept, what I dreamed, my health, diet, or period, the weather, money, or route talk, what happened on the way wherever. And of the 7 where I have standing, I feel them ballooning, gaining weight and gravitas, crowding the narrow hallway your dictum has conjured, crushing infinity into a corner I can't reach, being pinned by empty latex ideas against the wall, now closing in, the soundless, blastless pop would not have mussed the hair I used to have, as I fall painlessly to the vanishing linoleum that I realize is my own, constructed in a moment of polite weakness, a reflex to resist contradicting, just like I made balloons of your rules. I take a short breath in the vacuum left by my hall and billiard game and begin. One stormy night, I slept poorly, dreaming an ambulance was careening in the wind, while I wondered if my diet had so broken my health that I had become a girl of 10, confused by my first period. When I woke up in a leather skirt, leotard, and a 36 quadruple D bra with 7 singles and an $8 bar bill in my hand. And this may be the last, a longer poem. I have a reputation to rescue after all. This is Monde Sacré, or The Sacred World. It's in 5 parts. Oh, it's a symphony. Part 1. Even sidewalks evolve. Mud gone, concrete smoothed in place. Crowned streets and storm drains reduce the risks of dousing. I like to think I no longer need to watch my feet or worry about ruining a new pair of shoes. Even this new city in this new country shows signs of age, of time passing, of heat and cold cracking what will not flex. I am back to looking ahead of each step. 2. As the day ends, I find myself in a lace of canyons, a city woven, a warp of avenues, a weft of streets, double-stranded boulevards, thin strips of alleys, threads of sidewalks. But the airless interstices are packed solid with structures, a multimodal surface waning through neighborhoods and suburbs, tailing off toward the prairie. Looking back toward the urban center, the mound of steel, glass, and stone resolves to a stack of awkward needles, arrows aspiring to fashion, to urgent claim, each thing becoming a pluralist noun. 3. I yearn among the crisscross canyons for proof the country has wide open space. A medallion on a flat road between wheat fields, marking the highest point in the whole state. Facing east, catching the lake's horizon will not do. I want to stand at State and Madison, look west down the world-class cut where the concrete river stayed level and rapids of imagination carved out the highest wall, every floor a layer of sentiment and history. I want to see the tiny arc where sky and earth embrace, and cirrus clouds reflect the operatic flare of bright rubies fading to pink tourmaline and purple iris overhead. I will extrapolate this strip of heavens to a celestial sphere, listening between sirens and clacks and yelps for for some mode of harmony to bring swarming visions to startling murmurations. Waves of wind through heady grain, and behind me, scudding trails of veil past the dark shoreline. 4. As the cup of darkness spins out of the east, crossing the zenith, it chases, futile as ever, the light over the edge of the western world, never quick enough to nab a single color. The palpable darkness of Dunsinane has finally worn thin. Trees stand still, clutch the plain firmly, roots wormed deeply. Stripped of clouds as dense as medieval cloaks, ash-caked sackcloth and penitential hair shirt, clear sky falls back into the transparent grandeur of emptiness. Racing stars recede as space expands. Manifold galaxies, not even points of light to our eyes, make beards of bees in St. Peter's parsecs of night, seem to demo thermodynamics in atom-like solitude, and twist through arcs about the pole star. 5. The stellar portrait of gigantic lethargy gives way as the light of day wipes clean the dark dusk of heaven's nocturne. Time-lapse artists test their patience and trek for us to mountains, deserts, lakes, seashores, monuments, forests, sacred places, temples, the ruins of the ages, and capture the dance of light and shadow, the graceful swirls of flax, the surge of herds, the fractal benching of ferns and oaks, the muscular trunks of solitary baobabs, the thrashing of granite shoreline, chalky cliffs, piers, piling, seaports, and harbors, the turbulent pounding of floods and rapids, the violent percussion of hurricanes and typhoons, the silken flow and coiling of ground clouds through valleys, over hillocks, off the edge of ridges, the soft symphony of wind through heat, fans of conifers, and long stretches of shifting sand. We open ourselves to these samples of beauty. See in these images of our interior struggles the metaphors for the safety, meaning, and salvation we seek along the hard walks, cold canyons, and blood pulse of traffic here in this moment of city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, there's other things.
Well, I think I should read a few more before I tell you to scream and applaud more because you made us wait. Please read a few.
Okay.
Please. You timed it. You had a little timer. It's like, I'm going to be all proper. You're awesome. That's why, I want to read as much as I can. But no, we want to hear you. Please.
Yes.
Please.
As you can tell, a lot of the things that I think a lot about is how we know things, because we have this part of our brain that makes shit up 24/7, and we can't stop it or turn it off. So this one is called Knowing. The bread knife bites. Immediate. No, just kidding. No, taking it back. The smallest nick. No blood. A flap. A breach. Dinner waits, the salad short, the diced onion. I stop, thankful my soul is not air starting a slow leak, not a pulse on a wire clipped, no place to go, not a spirit bothered by the risk of infection. Truth be told, I have no idea what my soul is, where it is, how or if it moves, or if it exists. I push the onion onto my plate with the back of the knife, at peace that some things I cannot know, will not know, need not know. I can be an onion without feeling the cut or counting the layers, without knowing whether the center matters at all. And unless you're really gluttons, we'll make this the last one. Gunnel.
Gunnel.
We are gluttonous, just so you know.
Gunnel.
Spread eagle.
Deadly sin.
Leaning into the bow rail, keen on flying into the headwind's mid-range roar, eyes dry were it not for tears of the moment's joy, the journey's end be damned. I have stood the bow on other voyages, slicker, flapping, exposing sternum to salty spray and yen for drama, to jaunty japes, been called jackanapes by squint-eyed vicars of the vine, but now I lean an elbow over the gunwale, peer down at burbling froth and foam where the bark hull shunts currents aside, makes way, and spinning eddies, brass rail shining from the action of my sleeve. I tell myself, choosing cruise over ramming attack, smooth sails to the dip and slash of triple-ranked rowers, sprinting for long rips or oars snapping brush, warships dead in the water. At night, astern, staring at the stars, braced by the taffrail, coasting before the wind, I watch the slack rope of the taffrail log curve against the phosphorus glow of plankton, listen for the wax and wane of siren songs, and watch my watery story uncoil, folding into history. Thank you.
Good to you.
Are you sure you don't want more? Are you sure you don't want to do more?
I got more. It's past 9, so I
I
think.
know, and we've
How
got
much
to
more?
go approaching time.
Oh,
It started
well.
late, so.
Are you guys cool with more?
Yes.
Yeah!
All right.
All right, if I'm honest.
Hey, I
Oh,
got
if
more.
I'm honest.
There's a car commercial that's in a warehouse with neon lights on the walls and cars skidding around on wet floors. And this poem is called Metaphor. Fluorescent tubes? Which color? Vertical, horizontal, angled, random, wall, ceiling, patterns, arrays, floating like the candles of Hogwarts, all on, cycling, excuse me, cycling in patterns, strobing, shaded, synced to an all-drum soundtrack, an empty warehouse, slick weight, newly paved to double the light of a fluid mirror, monochrome gray, a silver car and stunt driving, or theater black, soft spot, overhead spot, three-legged stool facing a player piano waiting for the saddest, slowest honky-tonk. Angels, snow angels in slush, triptych singed potato chips, curiosities from basement shelves of old museums, mid-ocean fish searching for Diogenes, a box of binder clips, flash drives, rubber cane tips, a wooden dog on wheels, paper mache staples, cat string, dog nip, black searchlights, blue roses. Do we need a metaphysical hook, some transdimensional quantum glitch, some catastrophe so far away no sound, heat, or motion will complicate our love? Oops. Playback. If I play back the world any eon, any battle, any tryst, any petty theft, any zephyr crossing a wrinkled doom, I can explain how everything happened down to the last detail. Every twitch, blow, bullet wound, moan, sleight of hand, where every sand grain started and ended, where every atom of oxygen burned its way through sugar, hemoglobin, muscle, and xylem. My math could calculate, model, and demonstrate how patterns form, trees branch, crystals pack in, how arrows fall, planets spin, revolve, and spill their iron guts when they collide or crack, how stars race around the silent edge of the true zombie apocalypse in the heart of a galaxy. But I cannot tell you how a single thing starts. What makes this moment or that the first move? I cannot say so you could dodge, hide, stand up, or embrace now, at sunset, or tomorrow what will happen next. If we will live, prosper, or die. This wobble need not spawn despair, make ash of expectation. This break with any past emergent or haggard allows us the risk of being human, being left with hope, belief, and love.
One more.
All right. So what's it without a memory from childhood? This actually happened to me. Called catfishing. At best, I hooked a fin, standing on the bridge to town, looking down at the Verde River. I knew Verde was Spanish for green, that Camp Verde, the town's name, meant green camp, that the camp was green from trees beside the river, back along the creek behind my house, trees that shaded the swimming hole, kept my white skin from burning red in the desert sun. I had listened to the men talk about how granddaddy catfish lay still just off the bottom this side of the fallen tree, slowing the creek down, making my swimming hole eddy free. I had tired of casting into shadows and reeling back dead bait. The only fish I saw there, minnows, inches off the shoreline. Sun at its whitest, doing its best to reclaim the valley, the green blotch in its painted sandstone desert. Straw hat, long sleeved boots, hook, rod, sinker, a blue bandana, no worms, no minnows. I didn't need anything to lure what was already there. That high school or college of big channel cats swirling at recess. Back to the highway, heading north to Montezuma's castle, I looked east over the railing at a dozen shadow forms in flat white water. Flat white water. The noon sun bleached out any sign of green. Thinking I couldn't possibly miss, couldn't possibly carry the likely catch, I dropped the line into the whiskered crowd, yanked and yanked again, felt a tear or two, walked back empty-handed. Lesson learned. Especially thank each and every one of you for breaking the record for the number of people that showed up to a blizzard-driven, cold-driven reading that I always manage somehow to schedule.
And, well, that's because you always pick that time of year, but ladies and gentlemen, I don't think that applause was loud enough. Please give it up for Jay! Makes me so happy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I am going to say that there is another open micer here. And so you guys are going to have to listen to me talk about upcoming features. Because, yes, it's every other week, and in 2 weeks we've got Marianne Schaefer on 2/12. That's actually Lincoln's birthday, in case anybody cares. And on February 26th, we've got, I said Marianne Schaefer was on 2/12. Elizabeth Moreno is on February 26th. And then we've got Janine Ravis-Luton, Tom Roby in March. And if you want to run the entire schedule, you can always go to www.chaoticarts.org/thecafe. And you can find out details because this thing is filled for the year. And in fact, just so that everybody knows, the last one for 2014 was taken by Jeff Helgeson, because he wrote a play that was done as a theater performance, and he is going to be doing a shortened, changed version of that for the feature, which will be awesome. I'm so looking for it. It was a great show to see, and I really love to see what's going on with that. So, if anybody has any questions about anything like that, let me know. And, by the way, people have been asking me, oh yeah, is anything happening with having it chosen writings that is going to be done in a book, since I do books? The answer is, yes, it is there. The problem is that features don't ever send me their writings. I am collecting the writings, and when I have enough to actually be put into a book, I'm going to have a book. So anybody who is featured, keep that in mind. Send me your feature for that. That means, Wayne Allen Jones, you could have something from this date, anything that you'd written, and it would be going into a collection book of all the chosen few writings, which I think is triple plus awesome.